Hello everybody, this is Jack on the Vinyl Voyage and welcome back to my channel. So when I did vinyl tag the other day, there was two things that I wasn't so happy about. The first one, I realised that I got to the end of my video and I hadn't even introduced myself. So what I want to do firstly is rectify that by telling you a little bit about my musical journey to date. The second thing then was the question about if you could only listen to music from which country, what would that country be? I chose England, and while that was the truthful answer, because lots of my favourites have all come out of England, I still felt a little bit of shame that I couldn't say Scotland, because Scotland itself has a fantastic musical heritage. There's been lots of great music that's come out of Scotland over the years, so I wanted to share some of that with you, maybe some Scottish bands or artists that you've not heard before. Okay then, so where did my musical voyage begin? It would have been probably the same as most people. I get into music and I probably gathered my love for music off of my parents. So my parents had a pretty substantial record collection and they pretty much gave me free rein as a 6 or 7 year old to dig into the record collection, go over to the record player and play whatever I want. So my earliest memories would be listening to the Beatles' Blue Album or the Rolling Stones or Simon and Garfunkel, something like that. And like I said, they just gave me free rein to play whatever it was that took my fancy. So that's probably where my love of music began. I was definitely a baby that was weaned on the Beatles. Moving forward then to when I was about 14, I did something that even to this day I massively regret. By that time I'd gathered my own record collection, quite a substantial collection of 90s indie music and a lot of kind of 60s stuff as well. Unfortunately, I sold it all and I moved with the times and I flipped over to CDs. So now I've got a load of CDs, but I really wish that I'd never sold all that vinyl. Moving forward again then, I get into MP3s and I was a real avid collector of MP3s. The thing I liked about MP3, I liked being able to listen to it on the go. So I had my little MP3 player on the train, or I especially like listening to MP3s when I'm in the car. I'll make up a mix on a memory stick and that's kind of good to go. So I think it was a 2 gigabyte hard drive, absolutely stacked with MP3s. It was a fantastic library of all the stuff I'm into. I was making up a mix CD for someone at Christmas and unfortunately the hard drive went kaput. It broke. I've tried everything to try and access those MP3s and they're gone. So I've had to buy a new hard drive and I'm back to square one with MP3s again. But then I'm not so bothered because I like the collecting and I like going and finding things and ripping old CDs and all that kind of thing. So yeah, that's where I am with that. Then move forward a bit again to 2014, I get back into vinyl. I bought a little, or in fact, I never bought it. I got it as a present. I think it was my sister got me a little Audio Technica, the 60, and really loved that little player, and that gave me the bug for getting back into vinyl. So what I kind of try to do is I try not to buy anything that I've already got in CD. With certain artists like the Beatles or Beach Boys, some of my favourites, I find it really difficult if I see, a really nice pressing or an album that's going for a good price. I find it hard to leave it, so I'd probably still buy it, maybe sell it on or keep it for my collection, especially some of my favourites like Love, Forever Changes. I really wanted to have that on vinyl, but generally speaking, I won't buy things on vinyl that I already have on CD. So that's pretty much my musical journey up to this point. Now really for me it's all about going down different musical rabbit holes, exploring new genres, exploring artists that I've not heard before, and that's really where I am now. Like I said, I would also like to speak a little bit about some of the fantastic music that came out of Scotland, so I was going to tag that onto the video. So to begin with, the first one I would like to talk about are Belle and Sebastian. So this is a bit of previous. This came out in 2022, I believe. This was during lockdown. And while maybe not Belle and Sebastian, maybe not one of their best albums, it's still a really, really solid album. It's actually a fantastic press. This is on Azzy Records with this Azzy Obi. released by Matador. But yeah, a fantastic sounding record and a really good record. Maybe what it lacks when you think of albums like Are You Feeling Sinister or Boy with Arab Strap is it maybe doesn't have those 2 or 3 kind of big singles or catchy songs like those albums would have. But classic kind of Glasgow indie. It's got that bit of, you know, I know they get compared a lot to the Smiths, but for me, you know, Belle and Sebastian have developed their own sound, and it's that kind of Glasgow art school sound. The thing I like about this little package is when it was put together during lockdown, Stuart Murdoch, who is the main kind of driving force behind Belle and Sebastian, he would walk around Glasgow and take pictures of what he saw during lockdown, and there's lots of like kind of little musings from him and the band during that period. So yeah, it's a really well put together and interesting album, I think. Well, maybe not their best. I really like Tiger Milk, but I still think this is really, really good. So a good Glasgow band there. Next up then is Beggar's Opera, Act 1 on Vertigo. So this is an original UK swirl, another band from Glasgow. So a classic prog band. Absolutely love the keyboard in this. Great guitar work, and it's not really an album where I think of like separate tracks like a lot of prog stuff. I just really listen to it as an album. But you can see that nice swirl. Yeah, this came out in 1970. Again, yeah, really nice stuff. So I'm looking for Waters Are Changed, their second album. Keen to get that as well. But yeah, really like this. Great stuff. So next up then is a bit of folk. Bert Jansch, you'd probably say one of the forefathers of folk. I think Scotland's got a really rich tradition of producing some really great folk artists. This one's Jack Orion, his third album. His first album's fantastic as well, self-titled. I've got that as well. But this one here, big song on this I suppose would be Blackwater Side. That's the song that Jimmy Page pinched. Certainly not, he didn't take it as inspiration for Black Mountainside on Zeppelin's second album, but yeah, you would say he pinched it. It didn't ever go through the courts, I think, because Bert Jansch couldn't afford to do that, but it was definitely a bit of theft there. But yeah, lovely guitar on this. A lot of the guitars by John Renbourn, who Bert Jansch played with in the 60s band The Pentangle. A lot of the what would you call it, the banjo is played by Bert Jansch. Yeah, fantastic stuff. That's really good. Keeping in the folk vein then, this is Donovan's first album, What's Been Did and What's Been Hid. I think a lot of the time, unfairly, people kind of compare Donovan and they just kind of say he's like the UK Dylan or the UK Woody Guthrie. And while he is obviously, you know, inspired by these artists, you know, he released this album himself when he was 19. It's an absolutely fantastic album in its own right. He's a fantastic artist in his own right, and I think, you know, this would probably be my favourite of his. I think it was originally released on Pie. This is like a kind of Marble Arch cheap reissue. I think in the US it was released as Catch the Wind, just to kind of cash in on the big single. But yeah, really like Donovan. Really great stuff. So up till now it's all been Glasgow based artists. We're going to move a bit further north now, up to Selkirk for this next band. A great Scottish indie band, Frightened Rabbit. This is their second album, The Midnight Organ Fights. So the originals of this, you know, went for silly money. I was glad to get a reissue. It was released a few years ago, again as a reissue, but this is their favourite of my albums. It's got The Modern Leper on it, The Twist, Old Fashioned by Backwards Walk. So if you've not heard Frightened Rabbit, they're kind of angsty Scottish indie. Their main singer-songwriter, Scott Hutchinson, plays the acoustic, and then the kind of rest of the band's built around him, but he was the real driving force And unfortunately, Scott took his own life 2018. He was someone who had suffered from mental illness throughout his life, and you can really hear it, you know, in the songs. He was someone who wore his heart on his sleeve, and you can hear when you listen back on it now, you know, how troubled a person he was. And I think it was quite out in the open. It was out in the open. His family and his friends knew about, you know, his mental illness. And I think the band themselves, they derived the name Frightened Rabbit. I believe that's what his mum used to call him. She used to say that he used to get night terrors a lot when he was a young boy, and she said that he was like a frightened rabbit, and he took that for the name of his band. But absolutely fantastic album that he's left us, as are all of Frightened Rabbit's albums. So yeah, it's really good. And this album here from 2014, this is Scott Hutchison's solo record. So I think Frightened Rabbit had been touring for a while, and Scott was getting run down with mental exhaustion. He was struggling with his mental health, and I believe the record company said to him, go away, take a break. If you want, we can provide you the money for studio time. You can go in and write, or you can go and record, should I say, a solo album. So it's something that I think he'd been thinking about for a while. He had material put together. It doesn't sound a million miles away from Frightened Rabbit, and kind of in the same vein, just a little bit more sparse. But yeah, another really good album. The only problem with this one is it's pretty pricey. It's never been reissued, so it is quite expensive. I think this one's on Atlantic. Yeah, this is on Atlantic. Whether they reissue it or not, again, I'm not too sure. 2014, really good album, Owl John. Next one then is another folkster, but modern this time, again from Glasgow. This is Jerry Cinnamon. This is his first album, Erratic Cinematic. So I think you probably don't get much more Glasgow than Jerry Cinnamon. I think this is a really good album. Some really catchy songs on it. Belter, Sometimes, Keezies. And in Jerry Cinnamon's songs, he uses quite a lot of Scottish slang, Scottish vernacular, and phrases that you would only really hear in Scotland. So it's very earthy. But my favourite song on this would be Diamonds in the Mud. And there's a great line in it where he sings, was it, the mayhem of Glasgow is buried deep in my blood. And that pretty much sums up Jerry Cinnamon. He's definitely Glasgow through and through. Next up then is the incredible string band, The Hangman's Beautiful Daughter. This is on Elektra Records. I think it was released, was it 66 or 67? This is a reissue with the American cover. I believe this was the original American cover. That was the original UK cover. But this is like folk psych, and I suppose like they were like the forefathers of folk psych, a band that were formed in Edinburgh. But yeah, Mercy, I Cry City, the opening track on side 2, absolutely amazing. And I think if you like your folk a little bit weird and a little bit psychedelic, then this is the one to go for. I've not explored too much incredible string band, but I really like this as a cracking album. Next up then, something a little bit more poppy. Paolo Nutini, Sunny Side Up. So yeah, this is his second album on Atlantic. It was very chart friendly. It spawned a couple of big singles, Candy, Pencil Full of Lead. Yeah, really good stuff again. A kind of poppy, almost reggae vibe to it. So I know I was doing a bit of digging on this today and didn't realise before that Questlove, the drummer for The Roots, plays drums on this. Rico Rodriguez plays trombone from the Specials. And it was produced by Ethan Johns, the son of legendary producer Glyn Johns. So yeah, great album. And here we've got Steve Mason, formerly lead singer and creative driving force with the Beta Band. So he's from Fife. And this is his album, what's it called again? About the Light. So it's a bit kind of new wavy in places. It's got some soulful elements, but again, just unmistakable, that kind of Steve Mason sound. This is, again, a really, really great album, produced by Stephen Street, who did a lot of Blur's albums. And finally, the Proclaimers. So I really, really love the Proclaimers. I think they get a lot of stick for having that kind of geeky image, the big black glasses and the swept over hair, and yeah, people give them stick for that. But in terms of songwriting, they are so good. This is their first album. This is The Story. It's got the big hit on it, Letter from America, which would have been their big hit, but it's got other great songs as well. Throw the R Away, The Joyful, Kilmarnock Blues. But they've really became a Scottish institution. I think, you know, Sunshine on Leith is a great album as well, but the Proclaimers, you can't go wrong with them. Fantastic. So yeah, there we go. So that finishes my little roundup of some Scottish artists, some Scottish bands that I really like. Like I said, they're not necessarily my favourites, but just some that I thought I'd share with you. So if you liked my video, please hit the subscribe button, give me a like. If you've got any comments, I'd love to read your comments. And other than that, oh, just one other thing. Later today, I'm going to look at a little collection, some rare stuff in this collection, or some records that are not so easy to find. So I'm hoping that, fingers crossed, I get lucky and find some other good stuff when I go and view it. But I'll do a little video showing what I found on this dig. But I'm really optimistic about this one. I know a couple of the records that are in there that I've been after for a while. So fingers crossed. Thanks again for watching, and see you later. Bye now. Bye.